Well, welcome back to the Added Time podcast with me, Alan Myers, and my co-presenter, Tony Grant. And Tony, it's just you and I this week. And we're in the middle of international break as we record. It's the last one of the year as well before we have a break up till March when you'll get the playoffs and some friendlies ahead of the World Cup in the summer. When you look at the international breaks, I hate them. I mean, I don't know. You know, I know you've got to have them. And what do you think of international breaks?
I don't know if it's a northern thing, Al. I don't know, but it really upsets the process on the Saturday afternoons going to watch your local team, and all the excitement's gone. And some of the teams we're playing against, I find it really hard just to tune in to watch the England games, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and more so, you know, I mean, fans is one thing, but how do you think players, and I mean, you must remember when the international breaks came as a player, and managers, you know, because all of a sudden everything they're doing, they're right in the middle of the start of a Premier League season in this case, and then all of a sudden the players have gone off, they can't work, you know, on things for the matches, and they're waiting for players to come back whether they're injured or not. I mean, that's got to be a problem for managers.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've had 6 since the start of the season. I think we've had 6 international games. We've only had, I think, we've 11 Premiership games. So it definitely is a problem. You know, it's the stop and start. You get into a little bit of rhythm, a little bit of form. You know, it might come at a good time for some teams who've been struggling, and just to clear them out of the changing rooms. But I remember even back in the day, Al, you know, it should be an honour playing for your country, isn't it? And it is an honour. But for me, and I don't know if this is a Scouse thing, under 21s, I remember ducking out of many of tournaments, or squads, should I say, back in the day, where it just never appealed to me, you know, leaving, because we all love club football and we love that banter with the football, and all of a sudden you get a letter that you called up to and it was like, oh, really? You have to go. And back in the day, I think it was Lilleshall, most of the time we would go, I've got to go all the way down there for 4 days, you know. And, you know, where they put these games, as you just said, then there's 6 games we've had now. Stop and start. You just said then, it's the last one till March, and I'm made up now. Do you know what I mean? We can just concentrate on
proper
football.
Run of games. Yeah. But I listened to Tuchel's comments after the game on, you know, against Albania, and he actually said, "I'm really upset because I'm not going to see these players now till March. You know, I want to see them on Thursday. I want to see them on Saturday, and that's a club manager, isn't it? Really speaking there, rather than an international manager.
I think that's just shown. You know, I think managing your country is obviously totally different than managing a club. A club, it's 24/7. You're constantly improving players, and you feel as though you're having an effect on players on and off the pitch. As your England manager or a national team manager, you know, I don't think you need to be highly qualified to manage some of these clubs. I do.
Some of the countries, you mean?
Some of these countries, yeah. I don't think you need to be highly qualified, as in Tuchel's highly qualified as a club manager. I think it's all about creating that environment, because you do have these players for a short space of time. They've got to, as I just mentioned you there, back in the day, lots of times I wouldn't turn up. I know it was under 21s, but I know, speaking to ex-players, and they all used to hate turning up. Do you know what I mean? And I think camps is all about personality. And I think I remember years ago, when Sam got the job, people were all talking about he shouldn't get the job, he should get the job. And he had a personality, and he probably would have been successful if he.
I think that was the argument of Terry Venables as well,
Terry
wasn't
Venables,
it? You know, that.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of truth in that. You know, when you look at, I mean, I've covered, when I was working for Sky, you know, I covered all the England games. I was the England producer, and I would go around to different countries, and we'd go to different games, and it was fascinating. And I always remember when we got beat by Croatia, Slaven Bilic's Croatia at the time, and afterwards there was no interviews from the England players. There was no way of talking to the manager. They were, you know, we all had to stay back away from them as they got back on the coach, and it was incredible. And then when I looked at the Croatia players, they were all out in the car park. They were
Yeah.
speaking to fans. They were having photographs taken. I don't know they'd won, but I think that would have happened regardless of the result.
Yeah.
And there felt like a togetherness in that team. Do you think that's something that's missing, or what maybe Tuchel is trying to do? Because if you look at some of the comments he's making, certainly about Bellingham and people like that, that he's not going to have this I don't know what you'd call it, but I mean, it's not arrogance. I'm delighted when I see a player get upset because he's been taken off, because it means something to him. But do you think he's trying to get this team spirit together first more than anything?
Yeah, and personally, I don't think it works. I think when you're playing your teams like your Lafias and your Andorras, when I said I don't think you need to be really qualified, I honestly believe you could be a kit man and lead England to victories against them teams. I really do. We have some of the best footballers, best professionals now in the world on humongous amounts of money, and you're coming up against some nations, in my opinion, shouldn't really be in qualifiers. They should have something separate for them, because England haven't let a goal in. I think they've played 7. Is it 7 or 8?
No, they've
7,
won
yeah.
every game.
Won every game, never let a goal
without
in.
a goal. Yeah,
and I've seen the stats, and for me, I wouldn't say I don't think it's success. I think we mentioned a few weeks ago about a certain player wasn't called up for the international game, and it didn't matter because whoever he plays is going to win. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So
I get what
like
you're saying.
in club football, if you don't play him and you get beat, everyone has got an argument then, haven't they?
Yeah.
An argument, so you should have played him. But in international football, when England are playing Latvia and Andorra and these types of teams, it's like you can play almost anyone.
So would you not have qualifying then? Would you just say, right, let's just go to you have friendlies, and obviously from a camp point of view, but not have qualifying and have certain teams ranked who will qualify automatically for that? Is that what you do?
That's what I'd do. I think every World Cup, which is when we really get involved, that's when it really captures you. It's not the qualifiers, watching these games now actually turns you off a lot of football. For me personally, every World Cup should have Italy in it. It should have England in it. It should have Germany in it. They even if they have a poor qualifying group, I want to see them at the World Cup, because the big nations should be there. And your teams like your Liechtensteins, who have been added to all these groups, they don't score a goal. They might as well not be there. All you can pick up there, Al, is an injury.
But it's a bit elitist, isn't it?
Well, it is, but can they not have something separate where they've got more of a chance to succeed? All they're when they come against the big teams, okay, even if they have the best game of their life, they nick a draw.
Well, like an idiot's World Cup.
Well, no, I think you can bring them in, Al, but just take out the top teams. I don't think they need to be playing. I don't think England needs. Okay, look at the group just gone. Take England out of it, right? And you've got England's in a group of 5, weren't they?
Yeah, it was last year.
So have a group of 4. England are already qualified. No, we talk about the Premier League. We all know how hard the Premier League is. You've only got to look at like Rant at Liverpool, physically demanding. People around the world, you can't see it unless you're involved in it. You don't see how physically demanding it is. So I don't think England really need to be in the qualifiers. I really don't. So I'm putting it out there.
Put it out there. Well, we're going to start a new feature this week called Tony's Rant.
I think
we've already started it, but we are going to go to another one a little bit later. Yeah. But listen, we can't leave the international situation without talking about Ireland and without talking about Scotland and Wales, of course. There's still a chance for Wales, but I know something's a bit closer to you and me because of Seamus Coleman in our club's point of view, and also Jake O'Brien. And what an incredible few days Ireland have had. They beat Portugal at Lansdowne Road, and then they go away and win in Hungary and with a last minute winner.
You know what, Al? I think what would be really good if we could get some comments right, because I don't know if this is a Scouse thing or it's a me thing or it's a Northern thing or whether it's in general
across the country,
right? But when the internationals are on, I should I say, I'm more interested in Ireland, right? I don't know if it's a Liverpool thing, because we have got a lot of Irish in us, haven't we?
Yeah.
And I'm more interested in Ireland. Now, I don't know it's because maybe they're underdogs. And like, we just talked about England. You know, they haven't had a goal against them. You know, and they should be rolling all these countries over, right? They should be. But Ireland they're nearly always an underdog in most of their games. And the fans are passionate. And they turn in the numbers.
So it's more like a cup game to you.
It's almost like a club. It's almost like
game.
club football.
Yeah.
So you get behind them because they're always fighting for something. And obviously, last night was something what dreams are made of, wasn't it?
It was incredible.
It was incredible, and I think the boy himself came out. I watched his interview, and he came out, and I think he said something of, you know, it's in his dreams or something.
Yeah, he got upset.
Got upset, and it was lovely to see how much it meant. But I mean, that is the beauty of football in general, in all types of football, not just club football, international football, but all football.
Yeah, whether it's kids on the park,
anything, because that's what football is. It's when you least expect something happens. Most teams have got a story like that.
Yeah,
I think Ireland have probably got a few of them stories. But it's brilliant because now Ireland's have really got a real chance now, haven't they? Do you know what I mean? I mean, forget how much it meant on your points, but just the occasion. You know, coming back late on that late, it was outstanding. And you said about Scotland. Scotland's are that team who I've never really took to Scotland the way I took to Ireland, and I don't know what that reason is either. Yeah. So, is anyone else like that, or is it just? I've got a feeling this could be a Scouse thing. This,
I do. I must admit, I do have a tendency to look at and enjoy the games for the very reason you've said: the Scotland games, the Ireland games, the Wales games, because there is something more to hang on to.
Yeah.
I think the England thing is, I think you're right. I don't think it's. I mean, certainly not from my point of view, it's a Scouse thing, but certainly it's an underdog thing. And you sort of want to. I don't know whether that's a Liverpool thing. That you want to. You want to. We want to go for the underdog. And I think that's probably more likely the argument.
Yeah, I think it is. It is. It's
as you say, we expect England to win, don't we?
We expect England to win, and the non-entities aren't they? Most teams come and drop on the 18-yard box, and you have the ball all day. You're just waiting to score the goal, and then it's a non-entity. Whereas the other games, they're very club-like, aren't they? I just noticing like the Scotland team, the Welsh team, the Irish team. They're made up of mostly players from Championship down.
Yeah, and they always have a hero, don't they?
They always have a hero. Yeah.
You look at Troy Parrott. Fantastic. I don't think he's a relation to John, but and now everyone wants to buy him. Of course, playing for AZ Alkmaar. But look, I mean, we've got to go to the playoffs with Ireland, with possibly Scotland. It's a winner takes all game for Scotland against Denmark on Tuesday. I mean, what a night to be, up in Scotland that night.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we will all tune into that, won't we? Because we have had them over the years, them winner takes all games, and we're all rooting for Scotland. As I say, we do all love an underdog, don't we? Especially in this country. So yeah, I mean, have they got a chance? Of course, Denmark aren't anything to shout home about. So I think it's going to be a tight game, but I'm rooting for Scotland. Yeah,
I always remember with Jack Charlton bringing Ireland. I think they were playing Wales, maybe at Anfield, and it was a playoff game, or I can't remember who they were playing. It might have been Wales, it might have been Scotland, it might have been Netherlands. I can't remember. But Jack Charlton, they were based at the St David's Hotel over in Wales there, and they came over, and it's just the buzz around the place was fantastic.
I remember going over with Gareth Farrelly years ago to watch Ireland versus, I'm sure it was Belgium in a game.
Yeah,
another one, winner takes all.
Yeah,
and Ireland won. And obviously that led on to a fantastic night, which I can't totally remember it all out. But I remember playing against Leeds a week later for Everton. And I remember speaking to Ian Hart at the end of the game in the tunnel. We've had a shower and all. And we're chatting as if we were best mates. And, I know Ian Hart is a lovely fella, do you know what I mean? And we're chatting as if we're best mates. And I spoke to Gareth, I said, me and Ian Hart had a great chat there. You and him were out. You were together all night last week, and I couldn't remember.
That's the sort of night.
And I love the Irish, and I love all the underdogs doing well. Do you know what I mean? And let's hope they all get through.
The World Cup is in America and Mexico and Canada. When you look at the Irish bars and the Irish communities over in America, the fans would have a great time over there.
It'd be fantastic.
Okay, well, look, as we said, it's the end. It's the last one, so we can put it to bed now.
Yeah.
We can start concentrating on a really good run in both the league for teams now and also for the FA Cup. That's going to get us excited as well. We've got the third round draw coming up, I think, in December, ahead of the January games. But when you look at this next period, we're sort of mid-November going into December. A lot of games for a lot of teams. How tough is December? I know it's maybe not quite as many games as there used to be, a number of years ago, but it's still a big run of games.
I think there's a lot. I think you're talking 6, maybe 7 games in December. I was just looking at the fixtures before. I know Everton have only got 2 home games and about 4 or 5 away games in December. So this is when you do need your squad, isn't it? And it's the African nations this year as well.
Yeah, that happens. So we should have really mentioned that.
Yeah, are we losing?
Yeah, we lose. I think Everton lose in Dye. They'll lose Ghana Gay.
Yeah.
And possibly, I'm not quite sure, but possibly Beto will go.
And obviously Liverpool will lose Salah, won't they?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the clubs will lose a lot of big players.
Yeah, and I think, it's going to have a huge effect. If you're losing your best player or your best 1 or 2 players, it's going to have a huge effect. And, the games will come thick and fast, and then you're straight into January, and they're coming thick and fast then. And as you just said, then the FA Cup will kick in.
Yep. But as a player, do you welcome that? Would you rather have all those games? Because we're going to be talking in a future podcast actually about the pressure on players and the demands on players, because there's a big argument at the moment when you look at the World Cup coming up. The demands on you. Do you think there's too much demand on players at the moment?
Possibly. I mean, as a player, I think you're better playing the games than training. I think you'd enjoy the games, especially when you're playing well. When you're playing well, you want a game. I think what's different now than back in the day is sometimes you just be getting rolled out to play, and you'd be physically nowhere near it, but you just go and play. But you'd be playing against other players who might be physically nowhere near it as well. Whereas I think now, with the squads they're carrying, they can always freshen it up. And obviously, I think the bigger squads will probably do better in the Christmas period.
Does winter change things? Does the winter weather change things? As a player, did you see players who maybe weren't up for it because it was cold?
Yeah,
and I don't necessarily mean foreign players, but players from anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere. I mean, that's one of the beauties of our game, I think, Al, is the weather. When we have just on a normal week, even in the winter, the sun can be shining, and then it can be hail. I think we had an old saying back in the day, haven't we, about getting in the trenches. You want to so when you're fighting relegation, for instance, and you're getting through December and January, it's freezing. Now, if your team is full of players who don't like the cold and have to wear the gloves and have to wear the tights,
snoods.
If you're fighting relegation, you got some answers, because once you've started running about, you are actually warm. So you don't really need it all. No. So you wonder, it might be a comfort thing. It might be something you put on and take off. But the weather definitely tests you. It definitely tests you. And, I think the best teams have players who can just adapt to anything, don't they?
It's like you do anything in the rain, and it's heavier, isn't it? Even if you go to the shops in the rain, it takes more of a toll to you, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's the wind for me, Al.
The wind.
The wind's the killer. Don't get me wrong, with sleet and it's, the hail's coming, that's not nice. Light rain's lovely because the ball zips across the pitch, and you can move the ball really quick. The wind's a killer because, it spoils everything, doesn't it?
Did you ever wear tights?
No, I never. I did wear gloves, though, towards the end of my career. I was always very skinny, me, Al.
Yeah.
And I honestly think I had, circulation problems, me. And I wore gloves, but then, honestly, after about 5 minutes, they're off because you're red hot.
Yeah.
But I see some players now, and they've got them on for the duration of the game. I'm thinking, it's like they're just out there for a hobby. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, you need 3 points here, son.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the big games are going to come up. This games this weekend. It's going to. Is it a time in the winter, in December, in January? Does it decide things? Do you think?
I don't know if it decides anything. I think the games come thick and fast, as you said, and your changing rooms is a big thing. And getting victories, it doesn't matter what months you start getting in victories. Once you start building in victories or good performances in, your changing rooms bouncing. It's the environment, just the right environment. The hard thing about when the games come thick and fast is if you're losing or you aren't playing well, you still get the 30,000 fans, 40,000 fans still turn up. And it's facing the fans. And that's where you see a lot of players go under. And that's a tough time. So it can be a tough time, Al.
And not much time for recovery as well, is there?
No, there's no time for recovery.
No.
Sometimes you are in the next day, very, very light training next day and going again. So, but players are more professional these days. I mean, we've done it back in the day. We were professional back in the day, but not to the level these are.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We were.
The pitches are much better now.
Pitches are fantastic now, and I mentioned the winds. Most grounds, they can handle the winds are much better than they used to. But it's still a challenging time, and it's performance, isn't it? You've got to find how to get that performance out and get that result, because the fans still come, and it's they're the ones who are going to either cheer you on or boo you off.
And of course, there's always that big thing, who's top at Christmas, who's in the bottom three at Christmas, because, there's that old thing, isn't there, that if you're in the bottom three at Christmas, you're more than likely going to be there in May. Is that on the mind, do you think, of these players?
I think it is.
Who do you think is going to be top at Christmas? Do you think it's going to be Arsenal?
Yeah, I see Arsenal being top. The interesting one's down at the bottom at the moment, because the three teams who came up have all done all right in a way.
Yeah.
When you've got Nottingham Forest, who done fantastic last year, are in Europe and sitting in the bottom three with West Ham, another huge club who've been in the Premier League for the last few years. So are they going to stay in there? I mean, Wolves have got a lot to do. Wolves have got a lot to do.
They've, of course, brought in Rob Edwards.
Yeah, they've brought a new manager in, but they've got a lot to do. And you just mentioned before about wearing your gloves and your tights. I'll be interested to see the Wolves team come December to see how many you've got there. Now, I'm just throwing it out there. Let's just see. But I think they've got a lot to do, Wolves. The other two who were down there, they've given themselves already, with the last couple of victories or last couple of results, gave themselves a chance, haven't they, to get out early doors. And now there's a few teams involved in it, and it's going to be exciting down the bottom, I think, Al.
And you talk about injuries and stuff, and we've talked about that with the winter, and what that does. Groin strains are more, aren't they? And because of the cold, and then I remember when I was in football, with yourself, and you'd have a lot of physios who say when things aren't going well, the physio room's full. Yeah. I mean, was that a real thing? Did that really happen? I mean, did people have more injuries when things were not going bad?
Yeah, I mean, it sort of crept in, I thought. It crept in where I was always brought up that you play almost with anything. So I played for Everton, with many of niggles or injuries. But I know a lot of the lads who came over after me, especially the foreign lads who came over, they had to be almost 100% to play, and I was brought up with people like your Dave Watsons and all that who just get through it, just get through it, come on, just get through it. And sometimes you play your better football injured, or going out half injured, do you know what I mean, for some reason. I said to a young lad years later, he was playing for Crewe actually, and I remember him saying to me, he thinks he's struggling for Saturday, and I was asking him, what's up with you? And it was next to Nottingham, and I said, just play. I said, if you can run, it's not, if you're not really seriously injured, you can get by, just go and play. I said, because I used to play like that myself, and sometimes my best football was when I had that niggle.
Yeah.
And I remember this kid doing it and phoned me up after his game and said he got man of the match. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there's something in that, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
something in that psychologically, but
Maybe it gives you concentration.
maybe.
It focuses you a bit
Yeah.
more. I mean, I remember one particular player, I'm not going to name him, at Everton, who even if he had a cold, he'd be out that week,
Yeah,
you know. So
yeah.
you do get those players,
You
don't
do, and then we talked about dressing rooms and environment. That seeps in that, because you will have some players who will go out there and give absolutely everything, and some of them will still be niggled, but to play in front of them fans and try and get the 3 points for them fans, they're going out like warriors, and they're in their dressing room. There's a few lads who they know he can play, nothing wrong with him, and we need him, and they don't want to play, and I think that's in now.
Yeah, we'll talk about the EFL as well. You know, obviously at the end of before the international break, Coventry flying again under Frank Lampard. I mean, it's really interesting to watch what's happening at the top of the EFL now, the Championship, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting with Mark Robbins. I think his little story is a great story.
Yeah.
Because I think he's done ever so well nearly everywhere he's gone, Mark Robbins. And he done great with Coventry, didn't he? If you remember last year,
yeah.
I think he took Man U to extra time, and in fact, I'm sure they scored a goal, which we all thought should have been a goal. It was marginally off.
You're right. Yeah, it was very close to winning.
Yeah, so he's done a great job with Coventry, and obviously then he's took over a huge club who's been, suffering for the last couple of years, and I think they sit second or third now.
Yeah.
I think they're third actually, Stoke. And Coventry,
they've had a great season so far.
And Coventry, huge club, aren't they? We had we got loads of memories of them. We're in the FA Cup, haven't we? And big club who've had their own problems for many a year, and hopefully, I mean, Frank's doing a fantastic job, isn't he? And he's a likeable guy, Frank, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. You sort of want it to go well for him, don't you?
Want it to go well, yeah. So,
and I think same with Mark Robbins as well.
Same with Mark Robbins,
I think there's that. And of course, Middlesbrough are interesting because they've had this all of a sudden this shock of a manager going and I mean, what do you make of that? I tend to have the argument. Look, if it was you in your normal day's work, and you get a much bigger pay rise, you get a club which you've played for, it's a dream move. Should he be denied that? I mean, is he a Judas, as a lot of Middlesbrough fans would call him?
Well, it's an hard one. I mean, it doesn't sit right with me, really. I understand your argument there. It's his club where he played at, so I get that. Is it a clever move? I'm not sure. I'm sure if it goes wrong at Wolves, the first person who'll be out will be him, with the ownership they have. So as soon as they're not happy, I think he'll be out. And then other clubs looking round at him then, I think if I was an owner of the club, I wouldn't be going for him. No. After what he's done.
And you look at the owner of Middlesbrough, Steve Gibson is one of the most loyal owners the league has seen in many years.
Most football fans see Steve Gibson as someone who they'd like to run their club.
Yeah.
I think for years he's always seems to have done what's right as far as I know. He's had some good Middlesbrough teams, and I don't think, obviously that was a shock for him and a shock to all his players. And as you said, they're sitting second in the league. They're having a good start, but I'm sure they'll pick up the pieces now, and hopefully they can carry on their form.
And you could have a scenario where Rob Edwards is back in the Championship and Middlesbrough in the Premier League come May.
In this world we live now, I mean, you when you get to work for different owners, you get a good owner. Stick with your good owner. He'll look after you, I think, in your dark months. I'm not sure the Wolves owners are going to look after Rob Edwards if it's not going what they think. I don't know.
The counter argument to that, though, Toe, is you look at Rob Edwards and he got Luton against all the odds, got them to the Premier League. He had a bad season in the Championship and they went into League One and they sacked him.
Yeah.
So I guess he'll look at that and think, well,
Yeah, I get that, but
it works both ways, doesn't it?
It does work both ways. I'll have that, and he done fantastic to get them up, right? They went up through the playoffs, didn't they? Right. If you understand football and if you're an owner of the club, it wasn't through anything tactical. It was through really looking at the players they had. It was almost through creating team spirit.
Yeah.
He created a real good. He got the best out of players, right? It was never going to work in the Premier League, right? So they all know that. So you're not getting vilified for getting relegated. But then you go to the Championship and you fall like a stone. You know, at some stage it's like, well, hang on, what was it? Was it luck? You got to weigh it up. But he had a long time in the Championship to put something right, and couldn't put nothing right.
But not only that, the pressure from fans
Yeah.
when teams are losing now. I always remember Farhad Mashiri talking about it, and people were saying, he's sacking this manager, he's sacking that manager, but the fans were demanding it.
Yeah, no, I get that.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
What does an owner do? I guess.
I suppose it is a unique business where you have to. I suppose you do. You have to listen to the fans. It's very hard to keep losing. How long do you keep losing for before they say you've got to go?
Exactly. Yeah.
I suppose that is a tough one. The big one with Rob Edwards, what you're saying here, is if I owned a club now and he gets sacked from Wolves, I would not want to touch him.
Yeah, well, that's.
Do you know what I mean?
That's the downside.
That's what I wouldn't want to do. But time will tell, because, as you said, Saturday the Premier League all starts again, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think they got a home tie on Saturday. I think they're at home Saturday. And we'll soon see.
Well, listen. When we look at the matches coming back this week, we've talked in the past on the podcast about the style of football, and we're introducing this new feature this week called Tony's Rant. Tony's Grant, you see, that's what we've done, and it's all good stuff. It's all technical stuff here, but you want to talk about your first one that you want to rant about, and I don't know whether you'll rant or not, is about bored at the match.
Yeah.
In the style of play. Now, is this most teams, all teams, just a couple?
I think football's changed, Al. I think we've spoken about it on the past podcasts we've done about even academy football changed. Positions have changed. Terminology's changed. Everything's sort of changed. But we've lost a lot of charismatic individual types of players. We've talked about lack of wingers these days, lack of strikers these days. There seems to be more of an emphasis on goalkeepers and defenders. Funny enough, I was just watching something before on YouTube, and it was a clip, and it's a fantastic clip. At the end of the clip, if you wait that long, nothing happens, right? But before that, there's a team playing against Man City, and it must be 30 passes with the goalie involved. Little triangles, but all in the 18-yard box or just outside. Little triangles, yeah? And then they get out, yeah? But bear in mind, to do all these little triangles, that they've pulled nearly all their players back. So they've got a lot of their players back now to create these little combinations. And the goalie's involved. And it's great, yeah? And Man City are pressing them. And they're getting out, and they get out. And then you're going, great, this, isn't it? But then they find a pass. Then it's got to be a 60-yard long pass. So they still hit a 60-yard long pass. Then nothing happens. Nothing. So it's like, but this is like almost become normal now. So this is a clip on social media. So I see more clips these days with goalies and little triangles. Even in I see coaching stuff. Like grassroots coaching. And there seems to be more of an emphasis on creating all these triangles at the back. Yeah? To get out and then nothing happen. Right?
A bit like international football.
A little bit like international football. And then I always think, when I'm sitting up there in the stands and it's freezing, I don't know if you went for a walk today. It's cold today, right? It's freezing. And I've been at games. I'm going back 15 years ago when I was doing a little bit, when I was coaching in the UK and going to games. And no one talking. And I'm watching the game, and it's slow. And it's slow. And it's slow. And the centre mid gets the ball, and he goes backwards, and it goes back, and it goes back, and it goes back. And I'm watching people in the fan, and I'm thinking they're falling asleep. I thought it was in a library. I'm thinking I'm falling asleep here. This is boring. Do you know what I mean? It's like all the good football, the exciting football, is always in the other half, and it's always fast. You know what I mean? Like even when you talk about the Barcelona team, they had some great players we were talking about before. But there's some players just aren't there no more, like your Iniestas, who could go go past players. But
so is this just a tactical thing? Is this? I mean, is it because we've lost? I think we have the traditional winger, who would run with the ball, and and we've talked about this loads of times, haven't we? The centre forward, the number 9, that sort of play. Is it because the game has changed?
I think coaches have changed the game now. I honestly think even lower down, they're stopping players running with the ball to come and show them you could pass the ball here instead, and it's just become a passing game. And don't be wrong, Al, it's always been a passing game, but there's always been you've always had like individuals who can change a game. I even go back to the great Brazil team of the 70s.
Yeah.
You've seen a great clip, but then you'll also see individuals dropping the shoulder, going past and doing something. But a lot of clubs now, everything's just pass, and it's so predictable. But it's amazing how much they persevere with using the goalkeeper. They persevere with it. I think this year there's been more goalies going long, funny enough, but how much they persevere with it. Even these lower clubs, do you know what I mean? I'm thinking, why? What's the reason? Who are you? What is it? Is it because you've got the job on the back of saying this and you've got to do it? Or the owner wants you to do it? But I know the fans, and all the ones who pay the money, I know when they're going, most fans will be going to the goalie, why don't you just kick it to that big striker there? He's on his own against a small centre half. Most of them miss it out. So I don't know. I think coaching has changed through academies. People want to drop players in and have more link-up play. Maybe they don't see more forward passes. They'd rather more of them go sideways or backwards. I don't know. To have that percentage at the end, we've had 60% of the ball. We've had 400 passes. We're doing really well, aren't we? But I think you lose a lot of the enjoyment, Al.
Well, do you fall asleep at the match? Are you bored watching this type of football? Please comment, and in a moment we're going to tell you how you can do that on the Added Time podcast. So welcome back to the Added Time podcast. And as I said before, we went off for that little break. We were talking about comments, and I'm delighted to say Claire Campbell has joined us. Claire Comments Campbell, we're going to call you from now on. And Claire, great to have you in the studio with myself and Tony. And you're going to come in on a weekly basis and talk about some of the comments that people leave. I mean, have we had many to date so far?
There's been so many comments. I mean, it's been fabulous sitting behind the scenes and watching you two do this podcast, and it's going from strength to strength. And there's some absolutely gorgeous comments. Some of them that I won't read out, that's, but just football slang. But I think some of the comments we've had from Peter Hooton's episodes were absolutely spot on. It's that mix of football and music. They go hand in hand, don't they,
He hit a spot, didn't he, Peter? Yeah. I think a lot of people have enjoyed looking back. And Tony, I know you enjoyed the conversation, didn't you?
Well, music in Liverpool it's almost as big as football in a way. Do you know what I mean? We talk about the Beatles, don't we? And we can't get any bigger, can you? So music and football are big in the city. And Peter's obviously helped Everton win the FA Cup, didn't he? So,
absolutely. So Claire, I mean, you're going to come in on a weekly basis, and how can people comment on the videos and the podcasts what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, it's really simple. All people need to do is either go on Spotify, Apple, or on YouTube, preferably YouTube, because we see them then and there, don't we? And just make a little comment underneath, and it's one of us that will get back to you. I mean, you're like hotcakes on them comments, aren't you?
Yeah, I like the comments.
There's a really, really good one here that come in from JFK Toffee 1878, and this particular person's put, knowing now that Pete is annoyed by our use of all together now, and he doesn't make a penny, I'm playing it on a loop every day, all day.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, he was particularly put out, wasn't he, over that one? But yeah, so yeah. I mean, and what about TikTok as well? I mean, because I get quite a few comments now on TikTok.
Yeah. So head over straight to the Added Time podcast TikTok page and add it there. But I think it's so important to make them comments, because there's going to be so many amazing competitions. I mean, there's a competition coming up, isn't there, that we can't talk about just yet because it is really exclusive. But you've got to get involved on these things to win.
Now you mentioned that, we have got a competition this week. We're giving away the special Budweiser can, which is everyone, and all you have to do is subscribe to the channel to have a chance of winning that. And the same goes for this, which is a great book. We all, I think, Claire, maybe not, but I think me and Tony are old enough to remember CFAX, and this is a sort of documented book on a number of games, the big matches. We remember these big matches on ITV, and basically it's a documentation of those done in the style of CFAX. So if you want the chance to win that book, which is a really good read, just comment or subscribe to the channel, and you're in the draw. Now, another feature which features all over the place this week, and which Claire's going to come in every week and do, is the prediction feature. And what we're going to do, we're going to look at the Premier League games for the week ahead each week, and just get your predictions, really. Tony's predictions, my predictions. You can make some predictions if you want, Claire, as well. It's up to you.
Know, yeah.
But also, if you want to write in via the channels that Claire's mentioned, and make your predictions as well, and maybe we'll come up with a prize if someone gets them all right, or something like that. It might not be as much as Sky giveaway on a Saturday, the 5,000.
Well, if we run it to the end of the season, I think we could get a really good prize at the end of the season.
Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah. But just what Tony was alluding to before, we are going to have a really special prize coming up before Christmas, and it will be a great Christmas present to whoever wins it, and we'll give you more details that as we go on in the next podcast. So let's get on, and Claire, you're going to read the games for us, and Tony's going to give his first, and then me after that.
Is this going to be like a little bet between the two of you, where I have to give someone a prize next week?
Well, there won't be any money involved.
It'll just be a cup of tea and a cake.
Exactly. Yeah.
But if you put £1 on my predictions,
okay,
the amount of money you could win, or the amount of money you could lose, I think you'd probably lose £1.
I was going to say, you could lose £2 on mine, and that's definite.
Well, so, whoever wins gets the cakes next week then.
Okay.
Okay. So it's a busy day on Saturday, 7 games. Starting off 12:30 at Turf Moor, Burnley versus Chelsea.
Well,
one of your old teams.
Yeah, half 12 at the Turf. You know, I think I've got a feeling Burnley are going to go man to man, make it really tough for Chelsea. They won't like it, Chelsea, and I think Burnley will take the 3 points Saturday.
So what are you saying?
Burnley win.
What
just
score?
we'll have a score as well. Yeah.
Okay, 2-1.
2-1.
Okay. I can't see anything but a Chelsea win on this one. If I'm being honest, I think Chelsea are a bit hit and miss, but I think they're just starting in the last few weeks to get themselves together, and I can see a 3-1 win for Chelsea on this one.
Okay, interesting.
What are you going for, Claire?
I'm going to go 2-0 Chelsea.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
Oh no, he doesn't mind. He's wrong.
So we're going from the north of the country right the way down to the south to the Vitality Stadium.
Well, it's almost top v bottom, isn't it?
Yeah.
Almost.
This is a really interesting one.
This is a good game. You know, West Ham, just had a little pick-up, haven't he? Tough game. I'm expecting a bit of rain. I've got a feeling it's going to be a bit rainy at Bournemouth this weekend.
Could even be some snow.
Yeah,
snow in the burbs.
Snow, yeah. So, do you know what? Again, I've got a feeling West Ham, they're in a fight, aren't they? They've got a manager who I think he's up for the fight as well. I can't see them rolling over. I've got a feeling they're going to get a point there. I think it's 1-1.
Okay, interesting. I've got a very different view to that.
Yeah.
Bournemouth at the Vitality or something else, I think. And I think unless you are right at the top of your game, I think you struggle there. And I think, especially this season, they've done really well under Areola. And I can only see a 2-0 win for Bournemouth there, to be honest.
1-0 for me to Bournemouth.
Okay.
Okay.
Claire's not messing about, is she? She's just straight
She's
in.
Just copying you, really. You two's copying each other. He's ganging up on me.
I'm like that, loving So we're going to go to the American Express Stadium for Brighton and Hove Albion.
Yeah. And this will be a tactical game.
Staying on the south coast.
I can see this being very, you have the ball, we have the ball, lots of movement. Brentford have sort of surprised me. I thought they would be in the bottom 3 at this time of the year, and they've sort of surprised me. I think they'll allow Brighton to have more ball. I think Brentford have got a couple of players on the transition that can hurt Brighton. Brighton are going into it as favourites. I'm going to go for a Brentford win, 1-0.
That's it. That's out there. I'll give you that. I'm loath to bet against Brighton at the Amex, to be honest.
You're just doing the opposite to me.
No, I'm not. I'm genuinely not. No, I'm
Flip
genuinely
coin.
not. I'm genuinely not. I think Keith Andrews has done great, and you might have worked with him at
No,
Blackburn.
not worked
Was
with
it
him.
just a bit before?
I've played against Keith,
Yeah.
but he's done
He's done
ever
a
so
great
well.
job. I still can't see anything but a Brighton and Hove Albion win. So I'm going 2-1 there for me.
And I'm going to throw a spanner in the works by going 1-1.
Oh, there you go. Okay. He's put you under pressure there.
I
hasn't
know,
he?
yeah.
He's put you under a bit of pressure there.
There'll be a bacon butty next week, never mind
Yeah.
a cake. Okay, so we are now going to Craven Cottage. Fulham versus Sunderland.
Yeah. We watched Fulham last week at Everton, and they weren't great. That was away from home. They've got to get the home record going, because otherwise they're going to go into a relegation fight. Sunderland overachieving with the results they've had. I'm going to go with a Fulham win. Yeah, I'm going to expect the fans to get behind them. It's a tight little ground. On the day, Fulham have got good players who can hurt you. You know, I do think Sunderland are overachieving. I don't think Sunderland can carry on these results. I think they're going to hit, maybe it might be November, December, they hit that slope. So I'm going to go for a Fulham win. And I'm going to say 3-1.
3-1 to Fulham.
That's a big one,
It
isn't
is
it?
a big win. We said that about Leicester, didn't we? They're going to hit the buffers. They're going to hit the buffers. It never happened. Now, I don't expect Sunderland to do it Leicester and win the league, but I actually have watched a couple of their games, and I actually think there's something about them. I think they've got substance to it. You know, it's not just they're not just, as we say, punching above their weight. You know, and I didn't see a lot from Fulham last week, as you know, Toby. We were at the match together. So I'm actually going for a 2-2 draw.
Okay.
I think Fulham, for the reasons you said, need to start getting some results. So there will be that. But I just think they're susceptible at the back, you know, and Sunderland could get a couple of goals there.
Well, I am going 2-1 to Sunderland.
To Sunderland, an away win. Wow.
Yeah.
She's definitely getting
a winner, aren't they?
She's definitely to get and win the league, isn't she? Now, this is an interesting one.
This is a big one. Over at Anfield. So same time as the others, 3 p.m. kickoff. Liverpool versus Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, so Liverpool, you know, they've got to win, haven't they, really?
Yeah.
They have to win. But Forest have just shown a little bit of togetherness, haven't they? They got a couple of good results recently and performances. They go there as huge underdogs. Got an ex-Everton manager. You know, a lot of things are leading me to say, can Forest go and pile the pressure or the misery on Liverpool more? I'm not sure they've got that. But could they go and nick a 0-0? Liverpool have all the ball, but just can't break the defence. I think Dyche will be looking forward to this game because he hasn't got to go out and win it. So I'm going to go with a 0-0. Which I know none of you are going to go for. So you no, I know that.
0-0.
So, 0-0.
I think that's a fair comment, though.
Oof.
I am a red.
Yeah, I know.
But I do think that's a fair comment.
I was sitting here thinking to myself, I'm not going to expose Claire as a red because that's just not fair. And then there she goes and just blurts it out.
I'm a nice one, though. And I do support Everton when you play, so...
Okay, well, you just lost half the reds that were going
I'm on
along
the fence, aren't I?
But look, you go next because you're a red. You go next.
Obviously, I'd love them to win. I would love nothing more than to win, especially with the past form. It hasn't been great at all. And I feel Virgil is the one putting his arm around the rest of the players, saying, come on, keep going. But how long can Virgil do that for? It's hard, was it? I've got to stick by Liverpool. I'm going 1-0.
Okay, a 1-0 win. And I'm going to say, I take your point, Tony, about Sean Dyche. And I think Sean Dyche frustrates Liverpool and has done in the past on many occasions. But alas, I don't think this time they're going to do that. I think Liverpool are hurt about what happened at Man City before the break. And I think they will win 3-0. Liverpool.
Okay.
I think they will overpower them. I think they'll, as you say, they've got to start winning games again.
Yeah.
And I think they'll put an end to the bit of a slump and will beat Nottingham Forest quite handsomely.
Well, one thing you need to do then is
Mm-hmm.
you need to put the game on and watch it, because every time Liverpool play, I message you, don't I, and say, are you watching? And he says no. So put it on then, and each time Alan puts the game on, Liverpool score.
Well, I always say I'm only watching if they're getting beat, so. But anyway,
There we go.
next.
Okay, Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Crystal Palace at the Molineux Stadium.
Yeah, it'll be a full house. I think they'll cheer the new manager on to the pitch. They'll have that oomph for the first 15, 20 minutes. I think they'll get after Palace. I just don't see enough quality in the Wolverhampton team to sustain for 90 minutes. But I do think they'll get a point. And I'm going to say it's 1-1.
Okay. Well, I will say that you're right. The new manager bounce will be there. Rob Edwards will come in and he'll get them all fired up. But again, what you said, the quality's not there. They don't have the quality, and I think Crystal Palace do. So I can only see a Crystal Palace win, and I can see maybe 2-1 to Crystal Palace on that one. At the Moulinex, as my dad used to call it.
The Moulinex.
The Moulinex Stadium. Yeah, it is Molineux, of course. But
I'm going.
And then the late game.
1-0 to Crystal Palace.
Of course, yes, sorry. 1-0 to Crystal Palace.
1-0. Okay. And as you say, you had the late game over at St James's Park. Why, man, up the top.
Yeah, well, that will be
up the top,
that will be a great atmosphere. Won't
It will be amazing,
Yeah.
that, won't it?
It will be a great atmosphere. City on the back of the last victory. I suppose going into it as big favourites again. But Newcastle, for me, have underachieved so far this season. I think Newcastle have the squad ready to be much higher. And I think Newcastle will get after City. I think they really will. And I think they could dominate the midfield, mate. So I'm going to go with a Newcastle win.
Interesting.
And I'm going to say Newcastle 2-1. I mean, if you put £1 on my predictions, you win £1 million, won't you?
And yeah, you will. And the thing is, people will do that. I mean, when I'm on Twitter, or on X, I just mention that I fancy somebody for a goal. Next minute, I get all kinds of tweets, people saying, "Oh, put a tenner on that." I'm like, please don't.
Please don't, yeah.
What you need to do is listen to what I say and do the complete opposite. That's what you need to do.
That's what I tried to do today, but I've sort of countered guessed what you're going to say.
Yeah.
Because I've been going first.
Okay.
But I've been right so far. You haven't copied me. And you're not going to copy me now, are you?
I'm not. No, because I can't see anything but a Manchester City win. I don't think Newcastle are at it at the moment. I don't think they can score, apart from Walter Maida.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure they offer a massive threat. City are still, they'll be buoyant after the win against Liverpool. So I'm going a 2-0 win for Manchester City. I don't see them.
You've just stole my prediction. I was going to say the same.
Well, so you can say the same. Yeah, you can say the same.
Yeah,
we get the same points.
Okay, brilliant.
So we're going for a 2-0 win, me and Claire. Okay, so Sunday.
Ellen Road, Leeds United versus Aston Villa at a 2 p.m. kickoff.
This is a really interesting game.
Well, yeah. Leeds are desperate for the points. Villa have kicked on last few weeks, haven't they? When they started off the season really slow, didn't they? They kicked on, so they'll be full of confidence. But I'm going to say the home fans are going to draw the result out for Leeds, and I've got a feeling Leeds, and I've got a feeling Dominic, if Dominic's fit,
yeah,
I think Dominic could get a brace. I think it's going to be 3-1 Leeds.
Wow.
Ooh.
Well, I'm going to go just because
I said that.
He said that. No, in all fairness, I can't see anything but an Aston Villa win. I don't think Leeds are good enough. I just don't think Leeds are good
William
enough.
Miller be made up with us, wouldn't he?
So I'm actually going Leeds, because I think Leeds, you see, the problem is if Leeds score, I think they could cause Aston Villa a problem, but I don't see them scoring, so, because if the goal goes in at Ellen Road, the atmosphere is fantastic, and that puts Villa under a lot of pressure. I just don't see Leeds getting a goal. So I'm going 2-0 to Aston Villa.
Okay. I'm going 1-0 to Leeds, because I'm with Tony. I think the atmosphere at Ellen Road is amazing. So, yeah. Give them that.
You can't miss the North London derby. This
No.
is
At the Emirates.
I mean, is this where Arsenal
Well, I think in the end,
come unstuck?
Tottenham have started the season quite well,
Mm.
point wise. Arsenal have started the season great, point wise. It's a derby game, so in most derbies, it should be tight, shouldn't it? You don't want your arch enemies to walk all over you, and I don't think anyone's walking over anyone in this game.
No.
Which is why I'm going to say it's going to be an exciting 2-2 draw.
Okay.
Well, you know what's coming, Toe?
Yeah, you're not going to say that. You're going to go for Arsenal.
I'm thinking it's going to be a 2-2 draw. That was my prediction. That's exactly what I thought. I think it'll be high scoring because I think the goals are there.
Yeah.
And for exactly the same reasons, I don't think Tottenham will lie down for Arsenal. I think if and I think they'll drop points, Arsenal, for the first time for a while. So yeah. Actually, it's not the first time for a while. They drew Sunderland, didn't they?
A draw against your local rivals isn't really dropping. In the end, it could be seen as a point either way, couldn't it?
I think Arsenal will think they should
Possibly,
be winning that game,
possibly,
but Arsenal drew against Sunderland, didn't they? Last minute equaliser, So I mean, it's possible. What are you going for in the North London derby, Claire? Big sigh.
It was a big sigh. I'm going 1-1.
Okay.
I don't think I think they'll be fighting, but I think they'll be wanting to have the defence more.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then Monday.
Of course.
Why did we both go?
Yeah.
It's a tough one because Man U've just picked up, haven't they? I think they've got a little bit of confidence in the ranks, but even so, I still don't think they've improved that much. They've had a couple of good results.
Yeah, but they've also been knocked back a couple of times, haven't they?
And I think the gaps are still there. I think they're still trying to adjust to this formation still. Defensively, Everton are normally solid.
Yeah.
And again, it's a little bit similar to the Forest game for Forest going to Liverpool. Everton are underdogs. We're much better with the ball this year, which I think that'll be good at Old Trafford. Grealish might find a little bit more freedom.
Yeah.
Because who's going to mark him? They have a wing back going. I think they have. Is it Ahmad or plays on the wing?
Yeah, Ahmad. Yeah.
He's more of an attacker. So I think Everton can get something. I think it'll be a good draw for Everton going to Man U now, and I think this could be another 2-2 draw.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go for a draw as well. Would you believe? But I'm going for a 0-0.
0-0, yeah.
Because I just don't see. I don't think either side are massive goal scorers. I think they both struggle in front of goal still. And I just think, and you, as an Everton fan, you always think Old Trafford. We always lose there. Or we always seem to lose there. But I've just got a funny feeling for what you said about the defence. I think defensively we're quite solid. United are not really troubling a lot of teams, from an attacking sense. So yeah, I'm going for 0-0. Boring.
And I'm going to be the forever optimist.
Oh.
I am. I'm going to say you're going to win 1-0.
Yeah.
It's very kind, isn't it? She just trying
away from home as well at Old
like
Trafford. Listen, now I'm going to say you're a winner.
Yeah, well.
There you go.
So there you go. So there are predictions for next week. And when we usually record on a Monday, don't we? So it'll be the Tuesday. We'll know all the games, all the results. So we still won't know the Everton one when we get to record. So it'll be an interesting one. As I said to you before, if you want to put your predictions in, please do so on the comments and subscribe to the channel, like the channel, and we'll be back next time with another episode of the At a Time podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll speak to you soon.